Hi there and welcome back. As you can see, I'm in the garage. It's about 1 degree outside and about 4 degrees inside. Even though I've got my propane heater going, it's only a little panel heater. This is the nature of working in my garage, in my workshop in wintertime. Where are we? About middle of January. It's cold. I'm not going to be sat here for very long. This isn't going to be a particularly long episode because it's at the end of the day and it's going to freeze hard tonight. I believe maybe -4, -5, and we're already at 1 degree, and it's only 5:30 in the evening. Anyhow, what are we up to? We're looking at our Mini Clubman Estate, episode 2. And we're discussing, or I'm going to discuss, how to brace this Mini correctly so that it does not end up folded in the middle. Now, up to this point, you can clearly see that we've stripped the thing down completely to just a bare body shell. And if you've seen the first episode, the first video that I did, 2 weeks ago now, more or less, you will notice that half the floor is missing because I have already started to replace the floor. Story is, I was going to do the 2 half floors, leave the tunnel in place, and just replace the half floors each side of the tunnel. It turned out to be a complete nightmare to try and get the first half floor lined up. I'll explain why in a moment, which is why now I'm talking about how to brace this properly, because when we were fitting the half floor, it's on a rotisserie as you can see, when we were fitting the half floor, every time we turned it from the right way up to upside down, the whole body shell flexed by about 4mm, which really shouldn't be a surprise really. And what I'm about to do is I'm about to fit a full floor. So I've gone away from the half floor idea and I'm about to fit a full floor. Now, with the tunnel still in place and 1 half floor missing, and the whole vehicle is flexing by 4mm every time we turn it upside down, I'm absolutely dead scared of what's going to happen if I don't do any more bracing and then cut the full floor out ready to fit the new floor. What on earth do I do for the best? I really do not know. In a sec, I'll take you around what I've done up to now, what I'm proposing to do next, what I did have an idea of doing and then realised what a stupid idea that was, and hopefully ask you guys out there that have done this, what is the best way to brace this body shell for when I fully cut out the complete floor, including the tunnel and the heel board, ready to receive the new floor. And additionally, I have an extra problem where on the right hand side, the driver's side, I'm fitting a new doorstep which has already been cut out. I've got the new one offered up, but again, same problem. I don't want to fit the doorstep without any extra bracing and then find when I come to fit the doors I've got a 1/2 inch gap at one end and no gap at the other when I've got the door and the door is not sitting square in the hole. So I'm a bit I'm at that point where I want to get on with it, but I'm dead scared that something's going to go badly wrong if I don't do something first, as in make it better. So I'm really at that point where I don't really want to go on further, but I know I've got to, and it's just taking that plunge because I really need to get on with this. And I really, that's partly the reason why I haven't really touched it. It's sort of sat there and looking at me in the garage going, when are you going to get on with me then? And I'm busy finding other things to do on purpose. And that's where I am right now. So I'm scared of it. If I'm honest, I'm very scared of it because I don't want this thing to fall into 2 bits. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Please help. help me. Anybody out there that can help me. So let's go and have a look, see what I've done so far, see if I can make sense of what I've done, see if it makes sense to you guys. And maybe you got some comments you can share with me and some of your advice and some of your experiences about what to do for the best. Let's go and have a look at it. Right, as you can see, we're on a rotisserie. Now, the rotisserie I built. I'm not going to show you any close-up welding of the rotisserie. I used my dad's very old arc welder and some very old rods, and the welding is, well, if he saw it, I dread to think what he'd say, actually. But in my defence, this car has been sat on this rotisserie for the best part of 2.5 years, and it hasn't fell off yet. Nothing's broken. And we've turned it over hundreds of times and nothing's broken. So my welding might look rubbish, but it is actually holding. So I'm quite pleased with that. Some of it's worse than others and some of it's a lot better than others. You know, it's the way it goes. So I'm quite pleased. I will show you basically what I've done with the rotisserie. So the rotisserie part of it, the two stands at each end, they're the bad welding parts. I've done a big piece of box section between the two mounting bolts for the subframe, and then a piece of square frame with two diagonals that go down to the steering rack mounts. Now that's what I did at the front. I've then got a tube through the middle, which is U-clamped to the other end, which again is another piece of big box section, which is picking up the shock absorber mounts on the rear wheel arches, and a square frame with the axis of the rotisserie, and then I've got a lock at the back here to lock it in various positions. And the rotisserie is on wheels, so I can move the thing backwards and forwards. It's not on casters, it's on straight wheels. So if I show you down there, so it's on straight wheels. So we can move it around, we can lug it and push it. So far it's been successful. So far I'm fairly confident that everything we've done with the rotisserie is correct. Once the rotisserie was put in and the car was put on it, I then set about, before I took anything apart, I set about making a square frame inside the car itself. I braced the doors with a piece of inch box, which you can see there, and that's done on both sides. That was the first thing I did. The next thing was picking up the companion bin seatbelt holes, put them with a piece of angle. I welded another piece of angle, or actually this is T-beam, on here from side to side between the two A-pillars. Made a square with some box, and then we've got the cross piece to make the triangle. So triangles are the strongest structure, and with the triangle there, I've got two triangles that have been made with the box section and the angle. It's braced as best I can do, and that's basically copied from various other people. So up to now, the bracing has done the job that I needed it to do, based on what I was going to do, which was, as I say, half floor. The tunnel was going to stay in, the heel board was going to stay in, that was going to act as something, a part of the brace, and that's where we're up to. My first problem before I can put the floor in is I need to do this driver's side A-pillar. Now this doorstep was completely rotted out. The old one somewhere, if I can find it. Here's the old one. So you can see there I've got holes in it, it's thin, it's all rotted at the front. I've cut it out the back, it was all rotted on the back. So I just decided new doorstep needed, got rid of it. And the new one is sort of clamped in, as you can see. More or less where it needs to be. I've gone up to just up to there where the bracing is, cut away the quarter so that I can get that in there correctly, and that's more or less where we need to be. I'm happy with that, but the problem is at the other end, although I've done the same thing on the passenger side A-pillar wasn't anywhere near as rotten as this one. So if you look down here, this is all rotten here. And if we go up higher, this is rotten as well. There's a hole there, so that's very thin. These are the 2 holes for the door, and the 2 holes for the door down here, for the door hinge. The panel that goes over this, all of this is rotten. I've got all new panel for this. This is all going to be replaced. That's not the problem. I'm happy to do that. That's easy. It's what I do with this A-pillar. Do I cut this A-pillar right out and put in the new piece? Because I have a new A-pillar. This part, I've got a new one of those. Do I cut that completely out? Do I repair what I've got at the top? Because that's the only bad rotten bit here, apart from the bit at the bottom. This bit at the top, that is the rotten part at the top, but there's nothing else that's rotten on this piece of steel. The only other part is the bottom bit, which is the easy part to replace, because it only goes up to somewhere around where the bracing is here. This is the rotten part down here, if you can see. Hope I'm making sense. Do I cut this off of here and weld it in and then proceed to repair this, or do I take this out completely, put the new one in, which is a lot of work up here, and as I said, the top of it is not actually that thin. It's only this bit here that's thin. I may be able to put in a piece of steel which is nice and thick, because the rest of it is all good. It's all good steel. I don't want to cut away good original steel. Bottom bit, yes, definitely. But up here, what do? Do I just plate that? You know, put in a plate? What do? I don't know. You tell me, guys. I'm looking for advice. You can tell here that I'm out of my depth right now. Well, that's how it feels anyway. But the other problem is that I've got is I want to put in the door because and put in the door on its hinges and then line up the doorstep to the door. But if I do that, what I've got to do is take off the cross brace, because the cross brace clearly is in the door aperture. And yeah, I can't obviously put the door in. So if I take this off, I'm going to run the risk of the whole door suddenly collapsing, or the whole door hole, the door aperture suddenly collapsing, and then I'm in a world of trouble trying to get that back. So I've got to try and brace the door before I do anything else. That's what I'm thinking. What I think I can do, because I've got this T-bar in here, what I think I can do is I can brace the T-bar another piece from here to the back on the inside of the door aperture, basically where the brace is now. So if I go to the other side of the brace that I've got, basically put this piece of box on the other side and brace it that way. That's what I think I can do. But I've got to try and hold the damn thing when I cut this off. When I cut this box out, I want to make sure that nothing moves. So I've got to have a bit of a think about that. And then I can put in the doorstep. And the more I look at this and the more I talk about it, the more I think I can probably cut out that rotten bit there and put a new piece of steel in there and leave the original part there, because the rest of it is in good condition. There's no other, this is all good up to this point here. From here downwards it's rotten, gotta go. Here upwards is only that one with a hole. Anyway, that's my first dilemma. So I'm going to cut those braces out and reposition those braces so I can put the door in and check the doorstep against the door. And that's what I think I should do. However, if you think of a better way and you think that I'm doing this wrong, please tell me, because I am feeling my way here. That's all I can say. You know, I've got limited experience in doing any of this. I'm just trying to use common sense at the end of the day, and just thinking about it, what to do for the best. And then my second issue is, what do I do to hold this car together when I cut out the remainder of the floor and the tunnel and the heel board? What do I do? So me and Isaac stood here the other day talking about this, and we come up with this grand plan of picking up the subframe holes here and the steering rack holes, use the whole lot because this hasn't moved. This is all the toe board. None of this has moved. It's all good. We're all happy with that. Absolutely spot on. No problem at all. Pick those up. Bring something to the back here, to the rear subframe. Now clearly the rear subframe is bolted to the heel board, just here. If I undo these bolts, this subframe is going to bounce up and down because it's on a pivot at the back. Okay? If I unbolt this here, I'll leave it bolted at the back. If I unbolt it here, this can move up and down. We don't want that, of course. So my idea was to basically brace this with a piece of flat bar from down here and then go straight down to the inside of the wheel arch up there so that this can't move. Go right the way across and down the other side. So this is basically held exactly in the position it's in now so that this can't move. It's bolted at the back, so it's in the right place. It's square for the back of the car. With the brace in here welded to the wheel arch, none of that can move. That's all good, and that means that these mounting points for this heel board and this subframe are in exactly where they should be, exactly the right place, top and bottom, or side to side, as I should say, because it's on its side at the moment rather than on its top. That's nice and square, nice and solid. Put a piece of brace across the top here. Fantastic idea. What could go wrong? We discussed it. Isaac said, that's all right, we can cut out the floor. We just cut it out in bits. I said, yeah, that's fine. We can cut out the old floor in bits. We can get out the old floor with the frame across the top here. But what about when we want to lower the new floor down? How are we going to get the floor in? Because we're going to have a frame over the top. And we've got a frame on the other side. We'll never get the floor in. So, that is not going to work. What do we do? I think I know what we're going to do. So, what I reckon is, we've got the T-bar in place here. This is joining the two A-pillars together and stopping those from moving. We've got the subframe down here, the subframe holes here. We've got the same on the other side. We've got the steering rack holes above. We've even got a couple of drain holes here, or grommet holes. I don't know what they were for, but they had grommets in. We could use them possibly to clamp something through. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a flat plate on both sides, joined together at the top so it can't move, can't move at all. Bolt it to the subframe mounting. I'm going to have a piece of box come up from the subframe to the T-bar. That will then lock the subframe mounting and the toe board in the same place, in the right place that it needs to be in relation to the A-pillars. And then the front of the car is totally braced. This is all totally braced correctly as it should be, and it is in exactly the right place for the A-pillars of the car through this T-bar. That's the first thing. And then from the T-bar, where this brace comes up here, from the T-bar I'm going to go back, all the way back across the car and pick up the box section on the shock absorber mounts at the back here, and possibly even have, from that, where I pick that up, have two pieces of box which basically come down from the box section that's coming from the front, if you see what I mean. So I'll make a T-piece here and weld that to the top of the floor here. So the floor can't move, it can't sag, because it's then tied into the shock absorber mountings. Then I've got the piece of box coming this way, all the way back to the T-bar here. And then from the T-bar, we've got the brace that goes down to the subframe mounts. And then we are basically bracing the front of the toe board through the T-bar, through the A-pillars, all the way back to the cross-section on the back here, the box section, sorry, on the back, and then straight down onto the floor here. That will stop the flexing that I'm thinking I'm going to get, and then I will brace that across the middle so that we've got that as a nice frame. And then, as I said, with the subframe here, basically come from the subframe with a flat bar all the way across, right angles, and weld that, tack weld it to the subframe, tack weld it to the inner wheel arch, and that should hold the subframe in exactly the same position as it is now before I unbolt anything. I'm fairly sure that that is going to work. But You guys, if you've done this and you've got a better idea, then I would want to hear from you. Because, as I say already, I'm out of my depth. I don't really want to go any further, and I want to be real belt and braces, because I don't want to make work for myself, and I don't want to bugger it up, basically, for want of a better word. I want to do this properly, and I want to do it efficiently, and I want to do it right. So there you have it, my dilemma on what to do next. It's getting colder. I haven't checked the checked the temperature, but it's colder. I've only been talking for about half an hour. Yeah, that's my dilemma. I think that's where I'm going to go with it. I need to get some material. So yeah, I've got to buy some box lengths and such like. So I need to go and get that. But if you've got any thoughts in the meantime of where I'm going, if I'm going wrong with this, please somebody tell us, because as I said, I don't want this to go wrong. It'd be great to have your input. I really want people to get engaged with this. This is it's a big project. I've had a few people already say, "Wow, you've got a lot of work on your hands there." I know. Tell me something I don't know. I know how much work this is. I'm under no illusion that this is a big job. But the easiest way to eat an elephant, as they say, is to eat bits at a time. And the next bit is to basically do that doorstep, rebrace that door frame, that door aperture, get the door in, and I'm going to do that on both sides. Although I've done the doorstep on the passenger side, I'm going to do both sides and put the door in just to make sure the doors do fit properly before I weld the new floor in, because if I've got to chop the passenger side step out and do that again, then it's better to do that now than when the floor goes in, or after the floor's gone in, sorry. So that's the next job I'm going to actually do, is get these door steps done properly and make sure the doors fit. So that's the next job I do. But I will be getting this floor braced in the next month or two in readiness for when the new floor comes in. Your help would be greatly appreciated. I've already had a couple of people come forward with advice and phone numbers. Give me a call, let me know how you're getting on. I've done this myself. Let's have a chat about it. That's really good. Anybody that can do that for me, I'm really appreciative of it, because as I said before, I'm not a body worker, I'm not a welder, I'm a mechanic. I'm trying to use common sense and think about what I'm doing before it all goes wrong. Discuss it, talk about it, think about it. A bit like measure twice, cut once. This is where I'm up to at the minute. Yeah, so give us your thoughts. Put a like if you like the video. If you subscribe, that would be really great if you haven't done so already. Really would help us build our channel, and I'm hoping that the Mini will grab some people's attentions and get plenty of input to help us through it. And yeah, share it with your friends. If you've got anybody that likes this sort of videos that we do, share them with your friends. You've seen what we do. Look at all our videos and our playlists. That tells you pretty much what we're up to. And any comments you want to make, please feel free in the comment section below. It'd be great to hear from you. Basically, help. I'm going to go now because it's getting real cold in here. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take care and bye for now.